What is going on, everybody? We are coming off what was a pretty exciting card with UFC 315. JDM, the new champ, Valentina Shevchenko remains the champ. So we had one belt switch over. I kind of thought two were going to switch over. I thought Manem was going to get that win, but we move on. We've got a pretty exciting Apex card this weekend, ending in a featured fight between Gilbert Burns and Michael Morales. So let's get into these prelims.
All right, all right, all right. Let's get rolling. Welcome
And we
back to the
have,
Bulls of Ball Street, baby.
The red
yep,
tint looks good.
let's go.
I like it. I like it. On to the first fight. Tisha Pennington versus Luana Pinheiro. Heard these names, but I'll be honest, I'm not really super familiar with their games. So let's walk through it.
Yeah, Tisha Pennington, Raquel Pennington's significant other. Um, she is pretty good everywhere. Decent grappling, good grappling, I should say. Decent wrestling, good boxing, very, very high level cardio. Um, has only really lost to like quality women in the last couple of years, coming off a decision victory over Carla Esparza. And then she's going up against Luana Pinheiro, who's a good striker, has power behind her hands, good jiu-jitsu, not amazing takedowns, but she does shoot them pretty often, just about two takedowns a fight, I think. 1.8 takedowns a fight. Um, Coming off of her third loss in a row to Jillian Robertson, she gave up a bunch of takedowns, a bunch of control time, but that's kind of how it's been going for Jillian Robertson's opponents lately. It is on the back half of an unfortunate three-fight skid, though. So I think it should be Tisha Pennington pretty easily here. As long as she can stuff those takedowns. The Luana Pinheiro takedowns, they're there. They're not insanely accurate. You'll see they're only at 33%. So I think Tisha should be pretty safe here as long as she can stuff those. Um, I'm not sure what the odds are here. Do you guys know?
Like 400-ish or 350 for Pennington.
That seems kind of overblown.
Yeah, that's
pretty
kind of the
overblown.
angle I was going to go with here. I think she probably wins, but she has relatively no ability to finish this fight. She's getting older. It just feels like a spot where you never really know what could happen in this one with an older fighter who isn't particularly good even just to start out. Pinheiro, like you said, is on a 3-fight skid. I do think Pennington wins, but at that number, I'm probably just staying away from this one. But just for record's sake, just to take a money line, Pennington is probably the confident way to go. But that line is just not enticing to me whatsoever.
Yeah.
All right, let's do odd math. We're going to go with Pennington by knockout. She knocked out Sam Hughes, and Sam Hughes went to decision with Luana Pinheiro. So we're going to rock with Tisha Pennington by
Full
knockout.
transitive property.
Let's go. Yeah.
Easy maths. All right, Hyun-Sung Park versus Carlos Hernandez. I feel like we've seen Hyun-Sung before for some reason.
Yeah, maybe he hasn't fought for a while. He's coming off. He finished Shannon Ross about a year ago. He's had some canceled fights in between for sure. But he's pretty good. He's a really good grappler. Basically, just looking to get it to the ground. Will hunt for submissions when he is on the ground. Pretty calculated and patient on the feet. Not the best striker ever. But he is dangerous for sure, especially in the sub department. Carlos Hernandez, also a pretty apt grappler. Decent striking. Definitely has some power behind the hands. Not technical at all, really, but has the fundamentals. Decent jab. Good BJJ. Wrestling could be better for sure, like really low takedown accuracy. Most people are able to defend those. You'll see Hyun-Sung Park has really good takedown defense as well. But Carlos is pretty good at grappling. Like I said, he can work off his back. A lot of the times that is what happens. He needs to get taken down in order to make something happen on the ground. He's coming off a win over Nyamjargal Tumendembrel, where he had control time because of the grappling edge in that one. And I am going to go with Park here. Super low confidence. This feels like pretty much same confidence I had when I picked Zhang Yang against Daniel Santos. Could go either way, but Carlos is definitely a dog. I think Zhang Yang has a good test for him here.
Yeah, I'm probably going to take Park as well. Hernandez, similarly, Hasn't really shown any KO ability like we were talking about in the last fight. Hasn't been super dominant. 2-3 in his last 5. Hasn't fought a ton, but he's already been finished twice, which is pretty concerning. I think that is never something you really want to see with a guy who's not like at the very end of their career. I think Hernandez's best path to a victory is probably fighting towards a sub, but I think Park's well-rounded enough to fight that off. So I'm on your side as well.
Yeah, I just don't like these guys that haven't fought for a while. It's always very sketchy to me.
Yeah. It's so hard to tell because it's like sometimes, like you never know, sometimes those fighters have just been locked in for the entire year, just grinding. Other times it's exactly what you think it would be.
Yeah. I mean, like Carlos Hernandez just hasn't fought anything realistically. Like you can technically say that's a retire, but he got knocked out there, so it's not really like he survived.
Yeah.
We'll just go with Park by decision. I very low confidence, like you guys are saying. I wouldn't be surprised if Carlos Hernandez wins this one. To be honest, it's just like don't really know fully how he'd do it.
I don't mind the pick.
So with that said, we got the next one: Elise Reed versus Denise Gomez. Yeah, let's walk through it. I feel like this is a new style or look for Denise Gomez.
Yeah, Denise, we know her. Pretty well-rounded. Just tough, kind of throws what she can at you when she can grapple too. Definitely gets hit. 4.55 landed to 3.11, which I guess looks pretty well-rounded, but she definitely can get hit, is okay with paying to play. Decent kicks too on the feet. Like I said, can be dangerous on the ground, coming off a win over Kovacevic, where she was pretty much on the front foot the entire time, applied the pressure. Elise Reed, pretty good striker, decent cardio, likes to control the pace, has some power in her hands for this weight class. Cardio's there, grappling's pretty good. Definitely just inconsistent. I'd say she has a hard time putting it all together in the same fight. Can grapple, can strike, has a hard time having to do it both. But she's definitely good. Like she's skilled. In her last fight, she beat Jessica Penne, but she basically let Penne control her against the cage for like an entire round in that one, which I didn't like to see. But she could definitely make this fight a good fight. I think Denise should be fine here, but I'd imagine the odds are pretty heavily in Denise's favor. So it's another one I have a hard time touching just because I don't think Elise Reed is necessarily, or Denise is necessarily worthy of that price tag.
Yeah, I mean, 7 years younger, applies a lot more pressure, is more aggressive with takedown, just feels like she's probably better in most areas. Reed is a pretty accurate striker, or at least has been in the past. She's never really shown any power, though. She hasn't knocked anyone out with this. Yeah, I mean, I just don't really see her being able to finish this one at all. So that leaves you with someone who's going to be pushing the pace, is probably going to be the one getting takedowns, and is younger, so is going to probably have better cardio and is going to be flying around the ring. So with all of that taken into account, I feel like Gomez probably makes sense at the number, just because I don't really see a path on the other side.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with Gomez by decision. Like you guys are saying, it's not really impressive. Maybe in a very strange Elise Reed win here, but I don't see that happening. I would be more surprised or confident in a surprise knockout or something, to be fair.
I will say the Elise Reed's losses are pretty dang high quality in her career. The Loopy loss, there's a Loma Lookbunmi loss on there. Sam Hughes back in 2022. Don't know who Sihara Eubanks is, but
yeah, but Denise beat Luke Bonemy, I believe, right?
Denise, I think Denise did, yeah.
Let's see here.
Can you verify?
No, she lost.
Oh, she lost. Okay, that's right. Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, pretty strong. opponents, I would say, which is worth considering. She beat Jazzy Jazuda Vicious back in 2020. But yeah, I totally agree with what Grant's saying. Kind of she's probably not going to be threatening Denise in the fight. She's going to have to be super strategic, probably fight a perfect 3 rounds, and just make super sharp high IQ moves the whole fight to win, which I think can happen. But it should be Denise.
Agreed.
I like it. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if for some reason this fight's kind of juiced to go inside the distance, and you can take chances on the longer side of it.
Yeah,
on both fighters.
That'd be nice.
All right, Luana Santos versus Tainara Lisboa. Yeah, I want to say we're somewhat familiar with these fighters as well. So let's walk through it.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, or at least based on like the recent fight history of these two, this should be the most fun women's fight. Could be like the inside of the distance women's fight of the card. Luana, she's strong, good judo skills. Those throws help her a lot, getting people to the ground. Not the best straight takedowns or anything, but when she gets you to the ground with those throws or with those trips or drags, she does a great job of maintaining position on top, really good control. Not great striking at all, really. Definitely powerful, though. Sloppy, but throws bombs. Like I said, really strong with the judo skills. Tainara, striker, Muay Thai background, fights how you would expect them to fight. Knees and elbows in the clinch are good. Takedown defense is relatively good. Jiu-jitsu is also there if she does get taken down. It's not her ideal path to victory, but she's coming off a decision win over Raivana, where she focused on the grappling a lot. And Tainara, I think, is the better striker of the two. Luana's the better grappler. Luana doesn't have the best wrestling ever, like I said. It's a lot of just like, upper body stuff and then trips and drags, judo throws. Tainara, pretty dang good takedown defense at 70%. I think she has a chance to keep it on the feet the entire fight. I'm pretty confident that she can outstrike Luana. So I'm going with Tainara.
I am too. I feel like we've lined up with these underdog shouts in the past, and we're going to again. I just like the versatility here on the Lisboa side of things. I think her takedown offense has been really good, has looked really good in her last few fights. She's in great form. I just expect that mixed with the versatility to kind of hang in either side of a fight. Just to take the plus 130 price tag there. That feels like a good value play, considering we've rocked with some pretty heavy favorites to start out this card.
Yeah, seems like we're all kind of in alignment so far. So I'm there with you guys as well. Just don't really think that Luana should be a favorite, particularly here. I think the only reason she's the favorite is because of the age gap at this point. But we'll see how true that is in the actual day of the fight. So Tainara by decision. All right. Jared Gordon versus Thiago Moises. Yeah, what should we expect here?
This is a good fight.
Probably the closest. It's the closest fight odds-wise by far on the card.
It's like a pick'em, right?
Yeah.
It look like the same person, except like one person has hair and one doesn't.
Yeah, Loki. It's like a mirrored image.
All right. Jackson, what do you got for us? Are we experiencing technical difficulties?
We might have lost Jackson for a sec. I can give my shout on this one just to get it going. We have Jared Gordon, who applies a lot more pressure, lands a lot more significant strikes per minute, as opposed to Moises. He has also, on the contrary, been knocked out 4 times in his career and has been finished 5 times overall. So a bit chinny. Doesn't have terrible losses. Paddy Pimblett was obviously one of the guys that beat Jared Gordon. So it's kind of tough to say because Paddy, I feel like his stock is on the rise right now. A lot of people are buying into that hype. I'm going to take Moises just because I think he probably has the higher ceiling in a lot of situations. He's not great, and he definitely has the ability to have some letdowns in his bag. But I feel like in this one, you got to take the guy whose ceiling is a tad higher, and I'm going to trust him in this one, which might be a bad idea, but that's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I'm going through this here and trying to figure out what side I like a little bit more because it's like you're saying, the Pimblett loss in theory ages well. Um, there's Jackson. We'll let Jackson cook here first, and then I'll come to a decision.
I just kind of introed this one, Jackson, so just let us know where you lean. It's a tough one. I took the Moises side of things. I think his ceiling is just a tad higher. He's not trustworthy, but I think if he can get to the level he's capable of, that level is higher than Jared Gordon's currently.
Bro, I'm like, I'm looking at this card trying to figure out where I'm going to pick my underdogs, and I'm like, dude, am I going to pick any underdog? But yeah, I also kind of like Moises here. This should be a good fight, not super high confidence in Moises or anything. But I do think he's probably the better fighter of the two. Trains with a really good team. Technical striker, good kicks. Coming off a win. Jared, sorry, what fight is Jared Gordon coming off again? I'm blanking.
I'm not sure. I can find it. I like the competition Moises has fought recently. I mean, he did lose via stoppage to BSD, but that's obviously not a bad loss. Jose Aldo's in there. Gordon lost to Pimblett at some point in his career. I'm not sure if that's the last one, but
that's definitely not a bad loss either. He also, the fight with Bobby Green was a no contest headbutt too, so some weird asterisks on Jared's
last fight was a loss to Nazrat Hakparas.
Yeah, that was a close one, a really close fight, that Nazrat one. So yeah, definitely high quality losses or like weird asterisks on Jared Gordon's most recent losses. He's a really high volume striker, then pretty much goes into looking for takedowns, trying to garner control. Definitely busy. Should be a good fight. I'm going to leave the Thiago side with you, but super close.
Yeah, I mean, the more I looked into like Thiago's profile, I'm like, I just think they're at two completely different career arcs. I think Jared's really on kind of the back nine, if you will, and kind of fizzing out.
Yeah.
Whereas you look at like Thiago's, I think the line should honestly be closer to like 160, 170. Because it's like Islam, he lost by sub. Joel Alvarez, who's a realistically pretty hot kind of prospect, if you will, not however you want to term it.
Yeah.
He knockout. Benoit Saint Denis knockout, but like goes against Ludovic Wine, makes a decision. So I don't know. I think he's a step above. I'm gonna give him the knockout on this one though. So that's what we're gonna go. Thiago Moises by knockout. All right. Gabe Green versus Mateus Camilo. Yeah, I cannot say I've ever heard of this Mateus guy. So
it's his debut.
Okay.
Like also not in like a regional promotion that's super recognizable either.
A seemingly exciting fighter though. He has quite a few finishes in his career. He's been on a good win streak as well. He does have potential to be submitted though, which is kind of an interesting one. He has 6 subs, but he's also been submitted twice, so it's kind of a sketchy battle once it gets onto the ground with him.
Yeah, should be a good one. This guy Gabe Green, he hasn't fought in a minute. He's coming off back-to-back losses against some really tough competition in Ian Gary and Brian Battle. And he's back here against the debut. Kind of seems like a spot where they're trying to build up this really exciting young guy in Mateus Camilo, who seems pretty well-rounded, good BJJ, really dangerous submission artist, also basically throws the kitchen sink at you on the feet. So one of those super exciting and also well-rounded guys that they love to build up. Like I said, not really like relatively really low-level competition, but has been dominant against that low-level competition. Gabe Green is a well-rounded guy, good grappler. Definitely likes to stay on the front foot when he's striking. Looks a lot better than he does. Also works in low kicks pretty well. BJJ is good, especially off his back. High volume, high pressure fighter. Not the most power ever. And yeah, like I said, coming off the Brian Battle loss where he got absolutely nuked in the face. And this is a new weight class for him, which I think is kind of interesting. He was a welterweight and also looked big at welterweight. Now he's at lightweight. So I don't have a good read on this fight at all. Like part of me just wants to go with Gabe Green just for vibes. Like I'm kind of feeling weird about this one, but it just with everything I'm looking at, like I kind of skill for skill, I have to go with Camilo.
Yeah, I will say Green does have 6 subs to his name, which probably contradicts some of the weaknesses, or I guess goes against the weaknesses of Camilo. He has been subbed twice in the past, so it's just kind of a weird situation there where it's probably an easier fighter, an easy first test in, but the guy is good at something that Camilo struggles with. I do think, based on kind of what I've read, it feels like Camilo is strong enough on the feet to kind of control the pace in this one. And Gabe Green has been a bit chinny, did get KO'd in his last fight. He's been KO'd a good amount in his career as of late as well. So it feels like a spot where it's somewhat teed up for a KO for Camilo, so that's the side I'm going to take. But I wouldn't be shocked if Gabe Green fights toward a submission in this one. It feels like that could be one of those situations with a guy in his debut who just kind of walks into something.
So let me replace this fighter and see how you guys think of the fight again. So Gabe Green versus Elijah Smith, the Dana White Contender Series prospect.
Elijah Smith wins.
Decision, knockout. What do you think?
Knockout.
I think he would be a big favorite. It's kind of similar where he would probably get towards a knockout as well.
I asked that because he got this Mercado guy that he got subbed by. He got knocked out by Walker, who got knocked out by Elijah Smith. So likely means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with Camilo by decision. I wouldn't be surprised at all if this ends up being just a weird Gabe Green win. Like, it definitely has those vibes. It's just, if you're going off of technicals, betting on a guy who you haven't seen fight in close to like 2 years, like, just
and in a new weight class too.
Yeah, especially if you're saying like he's heavy and you're going lightweight now, like that just seems contradictory to what you're doing. And like you said, the UFC is pretty much, they like to have these fights where they set people up to get finished. It's really cool. But so all right, Juliana Rosa versus Melchiel Coast. I definitely mispronounced that. But yeah, what should we expect here? I want to say Coast has been in some kind of bangers of fights as of recent.
He has, and he fights a ton too. You definitely remember him from a recent fight. It was with Darren Elkins, I think, at KC. That was Arosa. What am I talking about? Melk is coming off the C-Rod decision win, where he looked really good, pretty much did everything he does good right. He's insanely good in scrambles, super slippery, works in spinning attacks. A lot of people don't think he's very technical. I think he has good technique on the feet, even though he does get kind of crazy sometimes. He's really good hands. Takedown defense could be better, which I think might be a thing here against Erosa. He doesn't have the best takedowns, but he likes to mix things up. He averages 1.63 a fight. So, and yeah, like I said, I accidentally said it about Melk, but he's coming off an absolutely dominant win over Darren Elkins. And he is good grappler, good striker, 6'1", which is long for this division, uses the length well to control range, both on the feet and on the ground. This is an interesting one for me, though. I might take a swing on Julian Erosa, I think, in this one. I love Melk. I love the track that he's been on. But this is his 5th fight this year. Maybe we're seeing a bit of fatigue. I think Erosa is kind of underrated pretty often. He's super well-rounded. Melk is still developing. So I am going to take an underdog swing and make my official pick Giuliano.
Same.
Dang it.
Yeah. I just think he's kind of turned back the clock a tad in his last fights. He looked really good against Darren Elkins, won via stoppage in each of his last 3. Before that in his career, he's obviously been KO'd 7 times, which isn't great, but he's kind of beat some of the chinny allegations in his last 3. And I think he's just a tad more versatile, and I really like the form he's been in as of late. Also, just don't like looking at Melk. I don't like looking at his face and everything. It's a tough one to stare down at. I also don't know why he has like generic Modelo actor on his chest. That dude's in basically any movie where you just need that character. They're just
Is that Danny Trejo?
give him a rep, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, very bizarre tattoo on his chest there. But we're rocking with a Rosa.
Nice.
Yeah. I just love this chalk train that we just keep stemming. Where I think,
Yeah.
you know what, I might be able to get one where I'm different right now. We're slamming the chalk, so we're rocking with Juliana Rosa by sub here.
I like that.
Yeah, I just think that like you see it in. He's going to try to get him to the ground or something, and yeah, just transitive properties moving forward. Beer commercials, awesome. Dustin Stoltzfus versus Nursultan Ruziboev. I want to say he almost got fraud checked last time we watched Nursultan fight, right?
Yes, he did. It was a Marc Andre knockout. Oh wait, no, sorry, that was Dustin. It was a. Why do I keep doing that? Sorry. Let me just go to Nursulstan's page instead of trying to dig through my memory.
Starting it off, just to get into it, I'm going to take Nursultan in this one. Gigantic height advantage, reach only 1 inch, which is crazy considering the height advantage there. But I'm going to be taking the number on minus 290 in Ruziboev here. I think he's super skilled, and he kind of just knows how to get fighters who aren't at his caliber out of a fight. He's finished 33 of his career 35 wins early, 13 KOs, 20 subs. So pretty versatile there, can get it done either way. But in a situation where you're taking a guy who's a big favorite, I don't really like getting to decision a lot, and this is a guy that really knows how to just get guys out of the ring when they're not up to his level, and that's kind of the situation here. So I'm going to rock with Nursultan and trust the form he's been in.
Yeah. Wells, I was thinking he got fraud checked recently because I do think Nursultan is overrated, but his only UFC loss was a decision loss to Joaquin Buckley, which isn't necessarily like a low quality loss. UFC wins over Bruno Ferreira, which is pretty good. Cedric's aging pretty poorly, and Eric McConico also aging poorly. So not a ton of great wins to show for Nursultan. Dustin Stoltzfus, like I said, he's coming off the Marc Andre KO, which was I think a worse look for Marc Andre than it was like a good look for Dustin, really. But I do think this fight has the potential to be closer than the odds might suggest. You said it was minus 280 for Nurse.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. That's fine, I think, for Nursultan, honestly. But like Grant said, he's huge, wrestling beast. Hasn't wrestled a ton on the UFC scene, but like in his 100 regional fights, just go watch those. He's a dominant wrestler. He just hasn't really needed to take it there in the UFC because his hands have been good enough to face the guys they've been giving him. But Dustin, he should be a decent test on the feet, at least for Nursultan. I think once it goes to the ground, it's going to be a different story. But Dustin is a pretty good high volume striker. Technique is there. He's also a BJJ black belt. And who has been wrestling a lot lately. Shinny, though, which definitely bodes well for Nursultan. So I think ultimately Nurse wins this probably by finish, yeah.
Yeah, Nursultan by sub. The more I looked at it, the more I was like, but I think this is a setup, as they say. So, buys Dustin Stoltzfus. It's been nice knowing you. All right.
I'm kind of thinking like a Nursultan ground and pound.
I like it. Just getting, I think we're both in the same area of like they're going to be on the ground and there's going to be some form of finish there.
Yeah.
Which I like. I don't know. He's intimidating with his pose. It's giving Attack on Titan. All right. Sadiq Yusuf versus Myron Santos. Yeah, let's walk through it here. I want to say these are somewhat intriguing kind of names in the UFC.
Yeah, this is definitely like one of the more fun ones, I would say. Sadiq, he's been around for a bit longer than Myron has for sure. Really good striker, powerful, also can be technical, high volume, like deep bag of tricks when it comes to his striking arsenal. Fast guy. Basically outstrikes every single person he fights. Maybe minus 1 or 2 people, like Diego Lopez included. Good takedown defense, slippery too, good in scrambles. Pretty much does everything you want, a good technical striker to do. Myron is also a striker, so this one is probably going to be on the feet. Both of these guys have pretty stellar takedown defense, so I'd be kind of surprised, or I'd be pretty surprised if it went there. Myron probably a little bit lower volume than Sadiq, but he is powerful, good kicks, definitely patient, maybe a bit too patient at times, but usually when he gets into the rhythm of things, the volume is fine. Both of these guys can find a finish if they want to. Myron, I'd say, probably packs a little bit more of a punch of the two. He's coming off the Francis Marshall decision win, where he looked okay. He let Marshall take him down a couple times, but I don't think that's really going to be too much of a concern with Sadiq. And Sadiq has lost 2 fights in a row now. Myron, though, kind of takes a bit to settle into fights, and Sadiq is a really good striker. I'm going to go out on a limb here and go with another dog and Sadiq Youssef. I haven't seen enough of Myron at this level. Sadiq has some quality wins under his belt, so I think it's a decent stab at a dog. Probably go with a decision win if he does win.
Yeah, I was looking at Youssef, but I think for the sake of having some different picks, I'm going to rock with Myron here. I could definitely talk myself into it. I think Youssef is good and is kind of like at that second or third tier of gatekeeper in the division. I just think his level is what it is, and he hasn't really upped it against some of the better fighters in the division. In Edson Barbosa or Diego Lopez or guys he's fought in the past, I think he kind of looks the same, and he hasn't really shown up to the occasion and really kind of brought that next level to them when he's had those shots. And not to say that Santos is like guaranteed to fly up this division, but he's young enough and the talent's there that I feel like this is probably a prospect that'll be moving up in the rankings of this division at some point in the near future. So I'm going to rock with Santos. I just think that Youssef is a tad bit outclassed in this one.
I'm pretty confident I took Francis Marshall last time they fought. So I will be fading him once again and rocking with Youssef. We're going to go with a decision like Jackson was saying. I just wasn't really sold that Santos was going to be a thing, and then I remember getting robbed. So hopefully we don't get robbed again, or Grant is going to be sitting pretty on his island. So
people were mad about that one, right? Like on Twitter after the fight, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, it was just a few extra significant strikes was the difference, but like all the control and everything was pointed towards Francis. Okay. So we will see how it goes. He's got a tattoo in his arm. So Rodolfo Bellato versus Paul Craig. I feel like these are two fighters who are low-key slept on, if memory serves correct. Like, they honestly put up better fights than people want to give them credit for. At least Paul Craig does, I feel like.
Paul Craig definitely, I feel like, gets a bad rap just because he looks like a former pool boy or something.
Dude, I love Paul Craig.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely older as well, so I feel like people just kind of give him the cone tag a little bit too easily. But he's put up a good fight in a lot of his last bouts. I am going to take the Rodolfo Bellato side of things here. He has been KO'd twice before, which is a little bit interesting. Definitely a possibility for that one in this. But I feel like he is an easier guy to trust here, and the upside is absolutely there. He will definitely provide volume at that 6.28 number compared to Paul Craig, who I guess in some ways has a little bit of pop. He's more a submission guy now at this stage in his career. Has a little bit of a reach advantage on the Bellato side. So I'm just going to take the better athlete here, and the guy who's probably going to be supplying more of the pressure, and that's why he's a significant favorite in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's just tough. Like, Rodolfo is, we already know he's the better striker, and then you add in the factor of Paul Craig just having been outstruck by Bo Nickel in his last fight. Like, Rodolfo with insane takedown defense, Paul Craig with some of the worst takedowns ever over a big sample size, 20% accuracy over a shit ton of fights. So that's really not good. Rodolfo is just super strong. I think it should probably be a Bellato knockout all day.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only one man to defeat Magomed Ankalaev.
Hell yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking.
We going with the Craig sub here?
I mean, you've got me like the fact that you're like, there's just no shot. But I mean, it's like the only thing that he does is pull off submission.
If he wins, it's a sub.
I mean, like, Bellato, I think, was it Jimmy Crute in one of his recent fights, had him in the ground in kind of a bad spot and ended up fighting towards a draw. So, I mean, that is the weakness. That is the way to get it done. So if you're going to take Craig,
here's the bold, baby. We're going with Paul Craig by sub, the only man to take down Magomed Ankalaev. Give him the title shot after this.
Dude, I like it. I mean, it's like comparing Bellato to Paul Craig makes him kind of sound like a goat, but he is also kind of like a slob at times. And like, if it goes to the ground, Paul Craig has a chance. I do think those 4-1 odds are kind of insane. Like,
we'll see what we can potentially get Paul Craig by sub at this weekend.
Yeah,
I feel like that might be I don't know. We'll see how Vegas puts it out. I don't think they put out method of bets just yet.
Thursdays.
I'll say Thursdays usually when we get those, but I will check because I'm a degenerate and now I'm curious. Oh, they have lacrosse odds. Probably not a lot of bet on that. Sorry, now you get to see what it's like in mind chat. All right, UFC. Yeah, I don't think they have anything out now. All right, well, we checked for you, so be it. Subscribe in the meantime because you're already this far along. Moving forward.
Our last fight.
Gilbert Burns versus Michael Morales. So the man that they would send to fight the devil versus an up-and-comer, essentially.
I'm a Gilbert Burns fan, but this is just kind of cruel matchup.
It's an annoying matchup. Yeah.
It's a tough one. Like, I honestly like him, and I think he's done a good job against these hot prospects, and I respect that he always is the first guy to take them on. Like, I think it was Hamzat that he fought a few years ago when nobody wanted to face him. Like, he's definitely a dog and is willing to take on whoever they throw at him, which I respect. I think he's lost every single one of them, though. Whether they've been close or not is kind of besides the point. Morales here, I'm seeing, if I'm seeing this correctly, is a minus 950 favorite, which has to be the biggest favorite in any like headline of a card ever, probably. Definitely a dog. He has 12 KOs in his relatively young career. 13 years younger, is going to be supplying a ton of pressure in this one. Huge reach advantage, 2-inch height advantage here. Like, pretty much everything you'd look at is grading in the Morales side of things. Burns has also lost 3 straight, obviously to good fighters just because of the kind of guy he is. Still pretty well-rounded. I mean, I guess you could see a world where he kind of fights like towards a freak sub, but like Morales' takedown defense is good. Seems superior in pretty much every facet. So I'm not going to take it at minus 950, but I would be completely shocked if he loses the fight.
Yeah. Feel like it'd be a waste of air kind of saying too much more than that. I do think Michael Morales wins this one pretty handily. We were just talking about how cruel the UFC can be. We've seen Gilbert Burns fight his heart out for so many years, and then it ultimately just gets fed to the younger guys the UFC wants to push. So I think that's exactly what's happening here. Like Brett said, Michael Morales, very well-rounded, should have more than enough in him to outwork Gilbert Burns here. Wells is contemplating.
I mean, like...
Dorino.
I gotta take it. Fuck it.
Let's go.
We're going with the man that you would send to fight the devil. You gotta rock with Gilbert Burns. Gonna go with him by decision. Realistically, like, I think that's my true take on this fight. Is I think it goes to decision. I don't think there's a finish, which is what I think a lot of people will anticipate. But yeah, why not? We'll go with Gilbert Burns by decision. See if he can add a 1 to
class.
That'll be juiced too.
It'll be beyond juiced. So realistically, Michael Morales, KO first round. Lock that in here first, chat. But with that said, we appreciate you guys for coming and hanging out with us on the Bulls of Wall Street. Hopefully we made you a little bit of money. I've been kind of cooking on these main cards, not going to lie, but except the week before this when I decided to go a little bit wild like this. So perhaps now is a wiser time to really harp in on Jackson Grant's decisions because I think they're a little sharper on this card than I am. But with that said, appreciate you guys for tuning in. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, we'll talk to y'all later. Peace now.
Peace.